You're listening to Cornhole Champions. I'm Zachary Oren-Smith. I'm sitting here with starting lines Amy Rivers and Avery Staker. For our third and final story of the day, we're heading to a courtroom where a judge will decide whether Governor Kim Reynolds can keep blocking the Des Moines Register from reviewing her office's emails. But what about her emails?
What about emails?
Her emails?
What about her emails?
Amy, can you walk me through a little bit of what happened with this story?
So basically, the governor is filing a lawsuit against the Des Moines Register to stop them from demanding production of the documents protected by executive privilege. Now, the Register wants 4 emails specifically, and the governor is claiming executive privilege even though she doesn't actually have any in the law. There's no law. There's absolutely nothing in the law that prevents the governor from calling her closest advisors or having a meeting with them, and that's not public information. But it's very, very clear, and every single governor knows this, that everything you type in your email is accessible by a FOIA. So basically the Register is just asking for emails. She's refusing to provide them, and now it's going to court that could set a precedent going forward on whether a governor can say, oh, I'm not going to release these emails, instead of having to release all of them because you're a public servant. And that's what we ask for as a public.
It kind of came in response to you'll of course remember Governor Kim Reynolds was brought to Washington to talk about her Iowa Doge initiative, right? It was kind of the state's response to the Department of Governmental Efficiency in Washington. The idea was, if it works, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If it's good for national government, it's good for the state government. We should have a committee of business leaders look at how we can make Iowa government more efficient. So she went to Washington and was asked about a tweet from that Elon Musk boosted that referred to Lutheran Family Services, which is a big service provider here in the state of Iowa. Referred to Lutheran Family Services as a, quote, money laundering operation. During this exchange, which we can play right here, you can hear Reynolds declining to kind of answer what is a kind of basic question.
Ma'am, I want to bring your attention to something very disturbing that Musk just recently tweeted out. As we see at this visual, he said, the Doge team is rapidly shutting down illegal payments to Lutheran Family Services. Musk retweeted a post from Michael Flynn likening Lutheran Family Services to, quote, a money laundering operation. Governor, you don't believe that the Lutheran Church or Lutheran Family Services is a money laundering operation, correct?
Look, I can tell you that in Iowa, the taxpayers of Iowa hold me personally responsible and accountable for state government, just as they hold President Trump accountable
the
for
Lutheran
his
Church is
as
not
the
a money
President of the
laundering
United
operation,
States.
right?
And the election that
Ma'am,
we just
Des
went
Moines,
through,
Iowa
I
is
think,
the home to the
Americans
largest Lutheran
overwhelmingly-
congregation in the United States.
Iowans overwhelmingly.
Is the Lutheran Church a money laundering operation?
Listen,
Of course not.
first of all, every program should be looked at,
Is the-
and
is the-
that's what we're trying to do.
Okay,
You have
the
to look
Lutheran
at,
Family
I looked
Church
at
has some
800,
connection to money laundering? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not saying
Is
that,
it
but I
quick
said
answer?
every.
Yes or no
I am-
question. Is it
It
a
is not a yes
money
or no
laundering
question.
operation?
I can't speak to that.
You can't speak to that. Oh my God.
Girl, just say no.
Just say no.
Just
The
say no.
exchange
Yeah,
drew some
she
heated
absolutely could
criticism.
not bring herself to agree with a question like that. Yeah, a Democrat.
No, well, I mean, you don't want to. And on one hand, right, if you live where we live, right, you're used to seeing these DC committee interactions where folks get combative at one another in Congress. To find our own governor kind of becoming the butt of one of these interactions was something else. Reynolds later clarified in a press conference that she absolutely did not believe the allegations that Lutheran Services was a money laundering operation.
Sure.
Like Amy said, right? What's at stake here is the extent to which executive privilege covers the release of these emails. The administrative thing that has to happen is we're trying to figure out how do we verify whether or not these emails were in fact protected by executive privilege without looking at what the emails are and who had access to them when, right? And so the
And
registrar's lawyer,
there's no executive privilege though.
right?
none.
It's not in Iowa code, right?
Right.
There is no protection there, but it is like a legal principle, right? That it gets applied to many circumstances, even though it's not inherent in the law, right? There's this, that is the argument that Reynolds lawyers are making.
Mm-hmm.
The registrar's lawyer is saying that, like, it's going to be really tough to figure out whether or not any of this is covered if we aren't looking at what the hell is in these emails. So
Right.
why don't you just let lawyers review these emails, which is pretty, it's pretty standard, and let's make a determination with the judge. The registrar requested records from her office related to the controversy. It was informed that these emails would be withheld under executive privilege. Reynolds' office described them as, quote, media prep sent among several of her subordinates, and said they must remain private to ensure her right to obtain candid advice from advisors without fear of public disclosure. Avery, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the stakes of this story?
Yes, I do. The stakes are legal precedent, essentially. However, this case is decided, it's it's about the registrar's access to them, but it's also about, like, in general, what kind of decisions are going to be made in similar cases like this in the future. And it's also about whether Iowans as a public, because, like, yes, it's an organization that's doing this, but, like, these are public records, so, like, they're available to anyone, not just specific organizations or journalists. And so it's about our right to know what our elected officials are up to, what they're doing in our name, and on our dime, I will add,
Yeah.
those emails were sent on the taxpayer's dime, I will
And
say.
the lawsuit is being litigated on the taxpayer's
The
dime.
lawsuit is being litigated on the taxpayer's dime. And when the government creates more secrecy, when they try to do these operations in secret, it's impossible to hold them accountable.
The problem that we run into is that how we manage this incident will necessarily inform how we manage every public document request in the future, right? So it's important that we not give ground anytime this question comes up, right? Iowa FOIA Council has been of one voice about this, right? That if the governor thinks that she can withhold this information, she's greatly mistaken, right? We'll see though. We'll see based on this Polk County judge and whether or not he decides that he whether or not he affirms the register and saying, like, absolutely these lawyers should be able to look at the specifics of these emails to make the best determination of whether or not they're a public record. I mean, it's a little sticky situation.
It just makes you wonder, like, what is in that? Like, what is she
What's in there?
protecting exactly? Because she's not running for re-election, so there's no political stakes for her. Like, unless she's literally going to be thrown out of office for the things that they say, or if she's going to be, like, tarred and feathered on the way out. Like, she won't have, like, a private career as a lobbyist or whatever she wants to do after this. Like, what could possibly be in there that would, like, ruin her career so badly? So it's
I
just
want
like,
to know.
the harder this is fought, the more you think that.
I want to know if it's, like, office gossip. You know what I mean? Like, she says, like, media prep, but, like, I know when I'm, like, emailing people for work, there's, like, some stuff about work and then, like, just little la-di-da, like, we're just yapping. I want to know what government's office tea is
Yeah,
in those emails.
Maybe that's what it is.
As a reporter, right? Like, on one hand, like, I think it's crazy that they decided to sue the register in order to withhold these documents from them. I do think that high level executives, that it's important for them to be able to get good. I think it's good for them to ask for advice. I think it's good for them to think about their decisions thoroughly. It's why draft exemptions exist in Iowa code. It's good to think through your decisions, to be thoughtful, to ask for help, to ask for ideas, and that's why that is what an executive the privilege they're looking for. That's why that exists. But the extent to which media prep, right? Like, when you've gone from the what should we do to, like, how we're reacting to what's going on. I don't know. I think this is a different kind of interaction. But we'll all know more when these documents do finally get released, because hopefully this judge makes the right decision. Democracy requires an informed citizenry, and an informed citizenry requires government transparency. When officials start treating public records like state secrets, it's usually because they have something to hide. This case will help determine whether Iowa's government serves in the sunshine or operates in the shade. And with that, that was another episode of Cornhole Champions. If you have questions, please send them to me at zach@iowastartingline.com, and be sure to include where in the state you're writing from. We're an audio medium, so send us a voice memo if you're brave. Keep them to under 90 seconds, and maybe you'll hear your voice on this very show. We'd love to hear from you. While you can watch Cornhole Champions wherever you listen to podcasts, the single best place is to subscribe to our YouTube. That's at youtube.com/Iowa Starting Line. Like and subscribe. Help us grow this platform. The best place to follow my work and every twist and turn of this show is my Substack newsletter. Give me a follow at cornholechampions.substack.com. We're on Instagram and TikTok with clips from this show and with videos of us thinking through the stories we're covering. Give us a follow, and if you like the show, I think you'll like what you find there. Last, Iowa Starting Line's flagship newsletter is a tremendous resource. Amy Rivers works very hard on making sure it's packed full of delight and insight. Subscribe to it at iowastartingline.com/newsletter. Cornhole Champions is a weekly podcast powered by Iowa Starting Line. This podcast is produced by me and edited by Rebecca Steinberg. Our music is by Avery Mossman, and our show art is by Desirée Tapia. Cornhole Champions is a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. We'll see you with a new episode next Wednesday. Until then, I'm Zachary Oren-Smith.
I'm Amy Rivers.
And I'm Avery Staker.
Thanks for listening. I sometimes have the post segment scaries where I'm like, what the fuck did I just say? I just blacked out, right?
Me, when we log off of the StreamYard, I'm like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. Like,
Dog, tell me. All right. Ooh, that was like some Tom Waits. All right.